everyone for having me, for being here. I really wanted to go over, there's a little bit that I'm going to repeat from what you just heard, but basically it's how do writers become writers? I mean, were they born with that love of books and the desire to constantly be putting words to paper in whatever format from the get-go? Yeah, it wasn't me. I mean, I loved books, absolutely. Always been an avid reader, but I figured, okay, I'm not going to be writing the next Lord of the Rings. I'm not going to be writing the next Pride and Prejudice, so why write? These are the expectations I set for myself. Not really the best, but that's what I was thinking. I also worked with children for many, many years, and while I love them dearly, I can't work with other people's. So I opted to change my major from English to psychology and sociology. I realized that I really liked working with people and sales and challenges, so I became an IT recruiter where I sold people who talk back. That's always interesting. But anyway, how does this have to do with writing? Well, after 10 years as an IT recruiter, I got sick. I got the Lyme's disease. Unfortunately, we didn't know it was Lyme's disease for 6.5 years. I spent that long undiagnosed. In one summer, I took an ambulance trip to the hospital. Half my face was sagging. I had all the symptoms of stroke. And they said, no, it's an atypical migraine, whatever that is. By Christmas, I could no longer work. Within a couple of years, I couldn't walk without a cane. And a couple of years after that, I was in bed 90% of the time. So that takes us back to writing. Well, as an A-type personality who is used to working full-time, taking care of kids, taking care of the house, I was going out of my mind. There's only so much daytime television a person should really have to endure. Seriously. So that's why I got started with my wheezing old laptop. I pulled it out and I started working on the dream that I had. 8 years old, obviously. My book is more YA, middle grade, and the rest of us romantics. So I had to upgrade the scenarios just a little bit, but the dream kind of lands in the middle of the book. I expanded from there. It's become now a trilogy and potentially future series because, of course, the brain keeps running ahead even though the writing is falling a little bit behind, although book 2 is hopefully coming out in the next couple months. So that's the goal. So I'll read a little bit, and there we are. Julie! The piercing shriek rips past my ears, spiking my heart rate. My head whips up in surprise while my darting eyes find not the source of the scream, but the cause. The team schedule drops from my limp fingers, bouncing unnoticed through the steel stadium seating like a misshapen ping pong ball. At the far end of the building, my coach's 2-year-old daughter, visiting for the day with mom before they're all supposed to go out to dinner, teeters on the edge of the dive tower's second tier. On all fours, peering over the side and giggling like a mini maniac, her mother's cry, and getting busted in an off-limits area, startles her. Mama? What? Whoa! Her little towhead jerks up as her weight shifts fractionally, enough to loosen her grip on the ledge. Balance lost and losing her hold entirely, she tumbles forward with a shrill cry of terror. I watch with eyes frozen wide, my stomach plummeting the 24 feet with her. With no conscious thought of moving, I hit the deck of the Olympic-sized pool at a run, just as the smacking sound of her frail little form impacting the water echoes through the cavernous building. At least she didn't hit the pool deck. The thought flashes through my brain as my body moves of its own volition, propelled purely by instinct. I can get to her in the water. Her desperate father, Coach John, shoots himself off the edge of the pool at the same time as me, his flip-flops leaving him mid-flight. We pierce the water at almost the exact same moment, but there the similarities end. Now, my coach looks like your average, ordinary guy. As an ex-Olympian for the U.S. swim team, not so much. Fear for his daughter drove him to swim faster than ever before. He was no match for me. Entering the water with barely a splash, I used my own dolphin kick variation to shoot forward, not breaking the surface again till I'm about halfway across the pool. Hydroplaning for the briefest of moments, the water propels me forward as I dive back under, straight at the point where little Julie entered the water and where she had yet to resurface. Kicking hard, my heart hammering wildly in my chest, I ignore the stinging foulness of the opaque water in my wide-open, goggleless eyes. Mentally cursing the pool technician, I put on another burst of speed as a small form emerges out of the gloom, drifting, totally motionless. Oh God, I prayed, what if she inhaled a bunch of water? Please no. It wouldn't take much to drown such a tiny body. What if the impact broke her neck? These thoughts barely flash through my mind before I reach her. Quickly bracing Julie's head and neck, I kick for the surface with all the force I can muster from my legs. The sound of her tiny choking gasp as we sail into the air and land with a massive splash floods me with relief. Securing my grip, I quickly locate Julie's parents. Coach John barrels toward us, an angry sea serpent reclaiming its young, as Mom, Jill, races around the edge of the pool in a dead sprint. That's all we need, I grumble to my passenger, trying to relieve some nerves and slow my own heart rate via sarcastic distraction. Your mom's slipping and cracking her head open. That'll help. I may whine about the pool rules at times, as required by teenage law, but they were put in place for a reason. Julie's response is to smile her perfect white baby teeth at me. Giggling delightedly, she cries, "Fun! Again, Lee! Again, again!" Before I can tell the little stinker what I think about her idea of fun, her dad is upon us, his features a battle of conflicting emotions. I can read his face and body like subtitles as they practically scream at me. "Hand over my baby, but make sure she's okay first." "How are you feeling, Tadpole?" he asks her instead, his voice impressively calm as his hands shake, keeping himself from snatching his daughter out of my secure grip. "Daddy, again! Daddy, Lee and me go again!" Coach John shot me a look that was a cross between gratitude, fear, and something else. Evasive maneuvers. How about you let your daddy make sure you're okay, preferably before your mommy jumps in with all her clothes on, "Okay," she replies, giggling at the idea of her power-suited and high-heeled mommy all wet. A quick first aid check and tugboat ride later, Coach John hands Julie up to her weeping mom. Joining his family, Jill clings to them both, oblivious to the water soaking into her designer silk suit. Julie simply looks bewildered by all the fuss. Pulling myself out of the pool, I attempt to fade back into the background. Any extra tension pretty much paints a big fat target on my forehead. Credit for rescuing Coach's kid? The girls would be beyond ticked, making my life generally unbearable, even more than it already is, for an extended period of time. No thanks. Jill, however, notices my not-so-stealthy try and escape and somehow pulls me into the hug, exhibiting tremendous strength for such a petite person. "Thank you, Dora Lee," she whispers, using my full name, pronounced Dor-Ali. The fact that it loosely means golden lily in French makes it appealing to her. I think the more understated Lee fits me way better. Nodding back, uncomfortable, I'm a bit choked up myself. Within a few heartbeats, Jill morphs back into supermom, all business and organization, as she carries her wet child around the pool to get her changed into something dry. Turning back to my coach, thank you. Taking in his expression, my happy bubble goes pop. Gratitude now set aside, his head is practically flashing with shots of insight. My throat constricts suddenly, dry as the desert, as I realize why. Coach John, retired world-class athlete, Olympian, and all-around driven individual, has just been beaten across the pool by me, a low to mid-level ranked, couldn't get more average if you tried, high school swimmer, and by a significantly large margin. There's no freaking way he's letting this go without a fuss. Whoops. Double check, we'll be on time?
Yeah.
Okay, I have one more short little bit I was gonna read. So at this point in time, since she's busted, she's actually got much better swimming abilities than everybody thought she had. She was sent up to train in British Columbia, Canada with an elite team and an elite swim coach. Stroke, 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 air. Lap after lap I swim, no pauses or breaks, the familiar exercise finally easing my tense muscles and mind. In my own little happy place as the pool populates around me. Eventually the outside world forces itself past my mental bubble. Whoop! Awareness crashes over me, literally, as another perfect person, previously somewhere on the pool deck, suddenly lands in the pool, right on top of me. Total surprise combined with the weight of the body on top of me forces almost all the air out of my body in a whoosh of bubbles. Water madly churning like a heavy-duty wash cycle, pain flaring in my left side as a stray elbow digs in, a spectacular bruise to be, I'm sure. I instinctively curl into a ball to protect my head. Holding what little breath remains in my lungs, I wait, the large mass of flailing human being pinning me down. I should probably be scared or something close to it. I'm wedged against a concrete floor getting road rash while my oxygen supply slowly dwindles to nil. Irritation flares instead. Whoever it is finally manages to get a clue. More importantly, gets off my back. Floating in my protective sphere, I wait patiently for an opportunity to get away. Despite the lack of oxygen, I still feel fine. Lungs tight yet uncomplaining, the product of a lot of training, I guess. The next thing I know, someone is roughly grabbing me around the waist, yanking me to the surface. Breaking through in an explosion of crystal droplets, I barely take a breath of processed pool air before, what the hell? For a second I blink, staring stupidly at the burly blonde boy in the lane with me. Wait, what? For some reason I cannot fathom, he is yelling at me. Taking my shocked silence as an invitation to continue his sputtering rant. I mean, seriously, blah, 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 total accident, blah, 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 Levi's fault, really, blah, blah, blah. Anyway, why would you stay on the bottom for so long? I thought I killed you. As my brain finally kickstarts back into motion, 4 things occur to me almost simultaneously. Observation number 1. This guy valiantly rescued me from the bottom of the pool, not the middle-aged MIA lifeguard. Granted, the help had been totally unrequired, and he had been the one to put me there in the first place, but whatever. Observation number 2. Whoever he is, he's really, really good-looking. About my age, maybe a little older, light blonde and square-jawed with milk chocolate eyes, totally the kind of guy every girl in my high school would drool over, yet less than 5% of the female student body has an actual chance with. Observation number 3. His anger isn't anger, more like total panic, probably because he genuinely thought he killed me. I could tell him it takes a lot more to hurt me in the water, but observation number 4. He's still yelling at me. Rescue or not, panicked or not, cute, and I mean totally cute or not cool. For the second time in 2 days, my internal switch flipped to fight instead of flight. Shut up! He actually did.